evening, you are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Madnor has confirmed that the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has taken his statement over alleged corruption and abuse of power in the mining of rare earth elements in the state. The Kedah Menteri Besar said he gave his statement last week and was asked 4 questions.
Tak ada serah dokumen apa mai tanya soalannya.
Bagi keterangan biasa.
Ya, biasa aja. Tak ada lah, saya ingat beberapa soalan 4 kot.
In July, the MACC initiated an investigation into Sanusi's alleged misuse of authority in regards to rare earth element REE mining in Kedah, which is believed to have been conducted illegally and resulted in losses to the state government. The anti-graft agency then confirmed 12 individuals were called to give statements to assist with the investigation. The government still bears a total of 10.8 billion ringgit in electricity subsidies compared with the original amount of 14.9 billion ringgit. Deputy Finance Minister Stephen Sim said that there was a savings of 4 billion ringgit for the period from January to June this year involving electricity subsidies.
From January 2023, the government no longer provides full electricity tariff subsidy to large companies with high electricity consumption. According to Stephen, more targeted and sustainable subsidy management are prioritized to ensure that government expenditure can be channeled to develop needs which can provide higher added value to the national economy. He added that the government is also studying the implementation of targeted subsidies based on appropriate and feasible models, by identifying methods which are not only effective, but also save time and have minimal financial implications for the government. Stephen said this during his wind-up speech at the Dewan Negara's special session on the 12 Malaysia Plan mid-term review earlier today.
The government plans to meet and discuss with the Indian government over its ban on the export of non-basmati white rice. The Agriculture and Food Security Minister, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu, said his ministry is reaching out to its Indian counterpart to obtain a suitable date for a government-to-government meeting.
Kita nak bincang G2G. Sebab kalau mereka menyekat beras putih secara dengan mengejut tu, dia membawa efek kenaikan harga beras di Malaysia ini. Dan basmati adalah boleh import banyak tapi basmati ini mahal. Ikut tarikh lah, nak bertemu dengan menteri lain dia kena tarikh yang mereka bersedia untuk menerima tamu. Kalau boleh, kalau minggu ni kau dia bagi tarikh, kita akan pergi. Kau dia bagi segera.
According to Muhammad Sabu, the increase in prices of imported rice due to the ban has caused the demand for local white rice to increase as people switch to buying the latter. He said though the current rice supply in the country is sufficient, shortages still occur in certain areas due to panic buying by consumers. When asked whether Malaysia could depend on other source countries besides India, Muhammad Sabu said Pakistan, Vietnam and Thailand were alternative options, but they also face rice supply issues as it is a global problem. The Health Ministry is always on the alert for any possible new pandemics. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said her ministry is ready for the possibility of a future pandemic and is continuously monitoring for potential new diseases that may arise in the future. Dr. Zaliha said although the matter was not discussed during her meetings with other health ministers on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly recently, the World Health Organization will alert its member countries should there be any outbreak of a new disease. Health experts are sounding the alarm about Disease X, a term coined by the World Health Organization. They warn that this potential new pandemic has the capacity to result in 20 times more fatalities than the coronavirus. Experts have speculated that implications of the disease could be more severe than COVID-19. The Election Commission, EC, has set November 4th as polling day for the Jepak State by-election in Sarawak. EC Deputy Chairperson Dr. Azmi Sharum also announced nomination day is set for October 21st, while early voting is October 31st. Campaigning period for the by-election was set for 14 days starting after the declaration of the candidates on nomination day until 11:59 p.m. on November 3rd. The Jepak by-election is held following the death of his incumbent, Datuk Talib Zulkifli. He passed away on September 15th due to kidney complications. He was a Jepak assemblyman for 6 terms since 1996. We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Di sini, segala kisah original umpama hidup.
Welcome back, Kapwa.
Di sini, segala karakter original membawa anda ke pelbagai tempat. Di sini, segala cerita original umpama nyata.
You feel good?
It felt so real.
Idea baru, cara baru.
Di sini, home of originals.
Saya siul lagu ni.
Dan lebih banyak lagi untuk anda terukai bila-bila masa, di mana jua. Stream on demand dan Astro Premier di saluran 410.
Masanya tiba untuk Terengganu menebus kekalahan mereka. Mampukah Selangor berpesta jaringan di Stadium Gompada? Semangat Kelantan United dan Penang terus membara demi memberi saingan terbaik di dalam Liga. Semangat kita, berjuang kita demi Liga kita, Liga Super di Astro Arena Bola dan Astro Go.
Welcome back. In the latest flare-up in the South China Sea, Philippine officials today vowed to remove a floating barrier set up by China's Coast Guard to prevent Philippine fishing boats from entering a disputed lagoon in the Scarborough Shoal. On Friday, Chinese Coast Guard vessels laid a 300-meter-long barrier as a Philippine government fishing vessel approached. Philippine Foreign Ministry said the barriers were a violation of international law and the traditional fishing rights of its fishermen. China claims 90% of the South China Sea, overlapping with the exclusive economic zones of Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia and the Philippines. Beijing seized the Scarborough Shoal in 2012, forcing Filipino fishermen to travel further for smaller catches. A growing stream of ethnic Armenian refugees are fleeing Nagorno-Karabakh following Azerbaijan's seizure of the disputed region last week. According to the Armenian government, almost 5,000 people have so far crossed into Armenia from the region, which is home to some 120,000 ethnic Armenians.
Most of the refugees, women and children, left for Yerevan after the Armenian government announced plans to move those made homeless by the fighting and warned that those who stayed could face ethnic cleansing. Azerbaijan launched what it called an anti-terrorist campaign in the Nagorno-Karabakh region last Tuesday, saying it wanted to restore constitutional order and drive out Armenian troops. Nagorno-Karabakh is a mountainous region in the South Caucasus, recognized internationally as part of Azerbaijan, but controlled by ethnic Armenians for 3 decades. The Armenian government said on Sunday hundreds of the refugees were provided with government-funded housing, but there isn't a clear plan of how it could cope with an influx of people.
Italian mafia boss Matteo Messina Denaro, who was one of the country's most wanted men until his capture earlier this year, has died. The 61-year-old was thought to be a boss of the notorious Cosa Nostra Mafia and spent 30 years on the run before he was detained in January. Messina Denaro was suffering from cancer at the time of his arrest. As his condition worsened in recent weeks, he was transferred from a maximum security prison in central Italy to a hospital. Dubbed by the Italian press as the last godfather, Messina Denaro was convicted of numerous crimes, including for his role in planning the 1992 murders of 2 anti-mafia prosecutors. The murders sent shockwaves through Italy and triggered a crackdown on the Sicilian mafia. Messina Denaro was also held responsible for a series of bombings in Rome, Florence and Milan in 1993, which claimed the lives of 10 people. He also orchestrated the kidnapping of the 12-year-old boy, Giuseppe Di Matteo, in an attempt to dissuade the boy's father from giving evidence against the mafia. The boy was held for 2 years and then murdered. Thailand welcomed the first batch of Chinese tourists under a temporary visa waiver program as the country turns to tourism to propel its sluggish economy. Prime Minister Sept personally greeted the first batch of visitors landing from Shanghai to Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi airport earlier today.
The Prime Minister and Tourism Minister Sudawan Wangsukpakit Koson were among the officials present to receive more than 300 Chinese tourists. Tourism is a crucial driver of Southeast Asia's second-largest economy, and reviving the industry hard hit by the pandemic is one of Sept's priorities. China's own post-pandemic economic woes have also meant fewer tourists from Thailand's once biggest international tourism market. The visa waiver program runs from September 25th to February 2024. The government expects 2.88 million Chinese visitors during that 5-month period, higher than the 2.34 million Chinese who visited this year.
After weeks of negotiations, screenwriters in the United States have announced a tentative deal with studio executives that could bring an end to a strike that has paralyzed Hollywood for nearly 5 months. The dispute is the longest strike in decades and has brought most film and television production to a standstill. Talks between the Writers Guild of America and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, representing studios and streaming services, resumed last week after months of starts and stops. The dispute has shut down many of America's top shows, including The Last of Us, Billions, Stranger Things, and The Handmaid's Tale. According to an estimate from the Milken Institute, the writers' walkout has cost the U.S. economy around $5 billion. As well as issues around pay, the writers fear the impact of artificial intelligence potentially supplanting their talents. The world's biggest toy maker, Lego, has abandoned plans to make its bricks from recycled bottles in a blow to its efforts to cut carbon emissions. The company said in 2021 that it aimed to produce bricks not containing crude oil within 2 years. But on Monday, it said that it had found that using the new material didn't reduce carbon emissions.
Lego said it remains fully committed to making bricks from sustainable materials. Currently, many of Lego's bricks are made using acrylonitrile butadiene styrene ABS, a virgin plastic made from crude oil. The move will be seen as a setback after a high-profile push by Lego to improve its green credentials. Like many other companies, Lego has been exploring alternative materials to plastic as sustainability becomes more important to customers. One of the challenges has been finding a material that is durable enough to last for generations.
An asteroid sample collected by the U.S. space agency NASA has landed on Earth near Salt Lake City, the first time the agency has achieved such a feat. The 250-gram sample collected from the asteroid Bennu may not seem like much to many, but to scientists, it holds the potential to answer some of the most burning questions about the origins of our solar system. Scientists will now spend the next 2 years analyzing the sample in a special clean room at the Johnson Space Center. Like other asteroids, Bennu is a relic of the early solar system. Because its present-day chemistry and mineralogy are virtually unchanged since its formation some 4.5 billion years ago, it holds valuable clues to the origin and evolution of rocky planets like Earth. According to NASA, Bennu comes close to the Earth every 6 years. Scientists estimate that the asteroid has 1 in 2,700 chance of hitting the Earth during one of its close approaches in the late 22nd century. NASA is planning a press conference on 11th October to give its first assessment of what has been written from the sample. That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching and good night.